When I moved abroad for the first time, I thought I was making a big bold move because I was leaving everything that was familiar behind to move into the unknown. I was leaving my family, my friends, my culture, my traditions, my way of life, and moving to the US. I'd never been to the US before. And then when I moved here, I arrived in New York. I realized that the move abroad was just the beginning. There was so much more I had to do to really make bold moves. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today in this video, about what I mean by make bold moves abroad. So I'm doing this video on a trail called Shell Ridge. I've decided to start doing this series of make bold moves abroad videos with this whole walk and talk format, so I can just get out in nature. I love walking. I love these trails around where I live. And I find that then the chances of me procrastinating and sitting on video ideas are much less. So I'm going to share a link to the video I did yesterday. That was my first video in this walk and talk make bold moves abroad series. And I'm embracing imperfections, messiness, and just doing it. So yes, so coming back to make bold moves abroad, it's not just what I experienced. I've spoken to so many women who moved here with big dreams, aspirations. They've taken the boldest step they could by moving to this country or another country, because I work with women all over the globe, and then they realize there's so much more work that needs to be done. So before I go any further, let me introduce myself. Of course, the sun is shining right in my face. I'm still figuring out how to use the camera, the lighting, natural lighting, and walk on these trails. There's lots of ups and downs, and I also have to look out for rattlesnakes because it is hot and they suddenly appear. So I have to look up and down, look at the camera, and look around to make sure also I don't trip and fall because it's an uneven terrain. I can hear a helicopter right now, and I think there's a slight wind. It isn't as bad as yesterday. Anyway, if you're watching this video for the first time, my name is Naina Kaputi. I'm the founder and CEO of the Expat Woman, and I help women make bold moves abroad. I don't help them move to another country. I help them make the bold moves after they move to the country. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I will at some point switch the camera around so you can enjoy the terrain instead of looking at my face squinting in the sun, because I also want to take you on this journey with me on my trails, give you a little peek and glimpse into our beautiful terrains in California. Maybe I might even shoot other places. I don't know. I'm starting with the East Bay where I live, and we take it from there. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you a bit of this little trail here. Not little, it's actually pretty big. So let's get started. All right. Yeah, so this is the trail. You can see like it's so rocky and uneven. Hopefully we won't encounter any rattlesnakes on the way, because that won't be very nice. I have encountered rattlesnakes, coyotes, bobcats on some of these trails. I'm walking this trail because my daughter does cross-country practice. Every week they do it on a different trail 3 times a week. I've chosen this part of the trail because I know they won't be running this way because that'll be pretty distracting. So yeah, so that's why I'm here today. But I also go for hikes on trails even if she's not running cross-country practice. So coming back to the bold moves abroad, for the longest time I have been working with women. Ever since I started the Expat Woman, my focus has always been on showcasing, spotlighting women who have made bold moves in their country, because I want to inspire other women. When I started the Expat Woman in San Francisco in 2013, I started hosting events And the panelists were women who were either entrepreneurs, thought leaders, working at companies, who had been able to step out of the shadows and follow the career paths they wanted in a new country. And we know that's not easy. Getting a job in another country, even if it's your field, it's not an easy task, right? Because you're competing with locals, or you're learning how to interview, or if you're running a business, how to start a business in a new country, finding clients, etc. So I knew pretty early on who my target audience was, and what I wanted to inspire, or who I wanted to inspire, what I wanted to focus on. And but the tagline, "Make bold moves abroad," I only got that tagline very recently, a few months ago, when I was actually designing an action figure myself. That was a trend, at least I saw it on LinkedIn, where people were designing action figures of themselves to showcase their expertise, their skills. I thought it was pretty cool. And I used ChatGPT to create it. And I saw some people had like taglines on the action figures. I guess maybe because, I don't know, I'm not too much into action figures. Maybe Spider-Man, Batman, Wonder Woman have taglines. I'm not sure. I was like, what should my tagline be? I'm empowering women who live abroad. And then I suddenly got the aha moment: make bold moves abroad. So I'm so happy. After 12 years of starting the Expat Woman, I finally been able to distill what I do into one tagline. But I have to kind of clarify with people, I'm not teaching them how to move abroad or helping them to move abroad. My work starts after you move abroad. I'm sorry if I'm panting. I'm going uphill, and so you'll get used to panting. Or please get used to the panting. And you might hear some wind as well. Yesterday I realized how windy it was when I did my walk, because maybe this microphone is not the best to cut out the wind. The other thing I'm doing is I'm just shooting these walk and talk videos. I'm not editing them, because I want to also inspire other women to just show up and do videos or create content without too much work, because that slows you down. So what's the work we have to do to make bold moves abroad? It's so many things. You want to regain your power. When I moved here, I realized, and I'm going to turn back because I think my daughter's almost done. So when I moved to the US, I realized I had no identity. I realized also that I didn't want to continue doing what I did back in India. I did study film. I came here to study film, but even that didn't really inspire me. I married a filmmaker, and when I saw the long hours he had to put in here in the US, and I'm not really someone who likes to be behind cameras. Yes, I'm shooting these YouTube videos now, and but I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, as I mentioned before. It took me a while to really discover what I wanted to do, and it came from a pain point. The Expat Woman came from a pain point because I struggled to find my identity, to create my personal brand, to put myself out there, build a community, find my network, get people to believe in me, build my discoverability so people could find me and get seen, get heard, get known, and get the opportunities I wanted. And it was not easy, and there was no blueprint, there was no framework. I just discovered it along the way by just stepping out of my comfort zone, because I realized if I stayed hidden, I wouldn't achieve any success. I made a feature-length, award-winning documentary film. I started the Expat Woman. I did work before that, but it was all, I had to put myself out there. I had to reach out to people. I had to do all that. And that's what making bold moves abroad are. It's reclaiming your power, creating your identity, building your personal brand, building your visibility. And I know it sounds scary, but once you find what you're passionate about and you find the right community, and we have a fantastic community, by the way, the Expat Women membership, where that's everything that I'm sharing to you here is things I do inside the membership, and I'll share a link in the description. You can check it out. But that's what's important, right? Finding that community. And there's nothing wrong with doing all that, because when you do all the things I just mentioned, it elevates your impact, your influence, your income. You want to create impact. It brings so much fulfillment, and you want to build your income, because then you can do the things you really love doing. You can create the life you want. So making bold moves abroad is about finding that job that will really tap into your skills, and maybe taking a step back and reinventing yourself. Maybe what you did in your country is no longer what you want to do here. Maybe your goals, your values, your how you see yourself in 5 years has changed. And so that's what making bold moves abroad is. So that's the first step. It's like getting that clarity, then it's building that confidence, then it's finding ways to create content, finding a community that inspires you, and then of course, collaborating with people. So if you have a business idea, a career you want to follow, a side hustle, a project, you want to speak up in a meeting, you want to ask for promotion, whatever it is that requires you to step out of your comfort zone, you've got to go ahead and make that bold move and make it happen. And if you don't, it's fine. We learn from making bold moves. We don't see them as failures. I'm going to stop because I'm getting out of breath because I'm climbing the hill. You can see how beautiful it is. Looks like I'm the only person on the trail. This is called Shell Ridge, and it's in the Indian Valley in Walnut Creek. And I was looking up why it was called Indian Valley, and this is where the indigenous people lived before the European and Spanish and American settlers showed up. So I think they were the Miwok tribe and the Ohlone tribe, or Miwok tribe. So it's named after them. There's no remnants or anything I can point to show that the tribe lived here, but this is why it's called Indian Valley. There's a school right next to it named after this area, Indian Valley, and it's in an area called Walnut Creek. I don't see any walnut trees anymore, but there was a time when the Spanish settlers came that this place was full of walnut trees, and this is why maybe there were Indian tribes, or I shouldn't say Indian, Native American or indigenous tribes here, because of the plentiful walnuts. Anyway, so this is the trail. I've got my breath back, so I'm going to walk some more. Yes, this is what's really important. Start thinking about what bold moves do I want to make abroad. I've already made this huge move by moving to a new country. I've already built the confidence, stepped out of my comfort zone. I'm resilient because moving into a new country, living in a new country, there's so many setbacks, there's so many challenges and hurdles, and that makes it so much easier for you to do the real bold moves. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what is one bold move you've made or you would like to make since you've moved to this country? Think about it. What's one thing you want to do? Start a business, start a side hustle, start a YouTube channel, a podcast, get interviewed for a podcast, create a piece of content on social media. I would recommend LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn coach as well, and I think LinkedIn's a really powerful platform to do that. So just think about what is the bold move you want to make. And next time I say make bold moves, I'm talking about the moves you make after you move to the US. And remember, when you make those bold moves, you're going to inspire other women who want to learn from you, who will be inspired by what you're doing. So it's not just for yourself, but it's for the community that you are going to impact. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, definitely share in the comments, as I said earlier, what is one bold move you would like to make abroad. And I'm going to continue with this series So just stay tuned, and that's why you need to subscribe, because then you'll get notified every time I share a new video. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Bye.